What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the LivBtr Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Ciano, CEO of Sabre Advisors. On today's episode, I have my dear friend, Craig Siegel. Craig is a multifaceted entrepreneur, keynote speaker, marathoner, investor, and coach who has dedicated his life to helping people unlock their full potential. After a successful career on Wall Street, Craig felt unfulfilled and knew he was destined for more. Fueled by a desire to live with purpose and deep spirituality, he left his corporate job to pursue his true calling, helping others break free from self-imposed limits and transforming their lives. Craig's an amazing individual, and I know you're going to enjoy this episode.
I just want to have peace. Pay for the bill, let them take my card, never see the receipt. Good health, we prize, but everybody around prosperity.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the LivBtr Podcast. This is your host, Jay Ciano, and this is the show for people trying to optimize every area of their life. Let's go.
I just want to have peace.
Welcome to the LivBtr Podcast, my friend. Craig Siegel is on the show today, and I have to dive in. I'm going to do this a little bit differently because how much I love you, A, and B, the fact that you just got married and I haven't seen you since you got married. So I just want to congratulate you. I'm so happy for you guys.
Thank you, brother. I received that. What an unbelievable, magical time of life. It's funny because I asked people beforehand, I was very curious, is there a difference in feeling from being engaged to getting married? And some people said, if you already live together, it's just a formality. But then other people, like my Kabbalah teacher, was like, oh, it's much deeper.
Yeah.
And I've experienced the latter, just a deeper connection, the vows, the commitment, making it legal, all that stuff, the actual day of the wedding. It's just a whole nother level. And it's really beautiful. I'm enjoying every second.
Just the way that you describe things is so unique and special. And it just says so much about who you are as a person. It's amazing how thoughtful you are, you know, like especially as a guy, you know, like I feel like we share some similar qualities, but you're so in tune with yourself. And I think that's why you're so good at what you do.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
I think of the word consciousness and awareness. I'm constantly working on flexing the muscles of the conscious so I can become more aware, be present, understand. It wasn't always like this, so thank you for saying that. I received that.
Yeah. Tell us about early Craig.
Don't make me go back.
However far you want to go back, you gotta go back because this is about living better. So we can't just have this version of you.
Fair enough. And seeing the transformations always makes it relatable to people.
Completely.
Early Craig, it's funny because I don't remember so much before maybe like 15 years ago. I'm not sure why. Maybe that's like the subconscious. I don't know. But I just remember I was always enthusiastic about things that I enjoyed. Mm-hmm. The problem is growing up, none of that stuff was really relevant to real life stuff. Like school, I got by, wasn't super passionate about studying and stuff like that, did what I had to. I was a popular kid. I was always trying to find myself. I always felt connected or called to do something big. I found it very challenging to figure out what that was, to put it all together. Even I went to college, I graduated, I came out, and at that moment, it was like, now what?
Yeah.
I came back, I was living with my parents. I started butting heads with my mom a little bit, as you can imagine. And I had to do something. I was ambitious, and I was infatuated with stocks a little bit. So I ended up on Wall Street.
Yeah.
And it was at that time that I really started to become a man, an adult. I came across personal development. I understood discipline. And once again, that was a showcase of that I can be excited, driven, and disciplined and really consistent about something that I was into. It happened to be Wall Street at this time. And had a lot of success there. And I put that in quotations because I was making money and I was climbing. But obviously that left me extremely unfulfilled. And so I'm fast forwarding a lot. But finally, in the pandemic, after say a little bit of a season of depression. My dad got diagnosed with cancer, a bunch of other things. Wasn't diagnosed, but I was just, I was miserable. Yeah. And then I started running marathons, and the pandemic was kind of a forced pivot where I shut down the office. It was then, for the first time in my entire life, I paused, I connected deeply with the Creator, and I reassessed and I said, all right, I've been good at things that I didn't necessarily love. Why am I actually here? What if we can combine those skills with the actual purpose and get into alignment? And just like that, I started getting downloads, and I realized how obsessed I had been for years of personal development. I'm just infatuated with it. Like, wait a minute. So I can learn how to think bigger. I can adjust my mindset. I just love that stuff. And I used it to be successful on Wall Street and having my own company and running marathons. But for the first time ever, I was able to get those downloads and transfer those skill sets to personal development. And then CLS was born.
So it was a little bit of an aha moment that when you actually kind of opened yourself to receiving, you realized that you were already, doing some of the things,
The thing is,
it's interesting. That's an interesting kind of take on it.
We're all so busy, right? Like the calendar.
Too busy.
Zoom call. But the thing is when you operate in that consciousness, you don't make time for, I call it Creator, whatever your listeners, Divine Source, Hanukkah Harry, whatever, Jesus. You have to create the time and space for downloads to come through. And think about the word divine intervention. Like, what is that? Or divine downloads. Those are the best downloads ever because they come from source, right? So when you allow those to come through, that's more powerful than AI. You know what to do. You can call anything and you can create, you manifest. I finally made the time. To be fair, the pandemic was kind of a forced, all right, let's pause. I took advantage of that opportunity. And you're right. I started to build and expand my vessel, which is my capacity to receive. In this case, it was downloads. And so I think the lesson there is for everybody listening, grind, hustle. You and I know a thing or two about that. Yeah. It absolutely plays a role in our movie, and it should. But you have to combine that with the bigger picture, with the spirituality, and allow the consciousness to come through. And if you can blend those two, forget about it.
Yeah, I think it's, as I love talking to you because as you talk, I'm like thinking so much about how to apply the things that you talk about, and I read your book, and I think anybody can learn great things from your book, and they should do that for sure.
Thank you, brother.
Of course, I mean that. The part of what you said makes me, want to pull back a little bit on how busy I am, because in a lot of cases, less is more, right? So I think if you're just staying busy, it doesn't mean that you're being productive. And as you grow in life and business and career and, whatever else it is that you're setting out to do, you're invited more places. You're more popular. People want to spend time with you, and it gets really difficult to say no. Right? Because it's like, wait a minute, like I need to compress time. Like I don't have enough. I'm not where I need to be at this age. You know what I mean? Like that. I always have that voice in my head where I'm just, dude, I'm in that, I hate the hustle and grind culture. And I think that that's finally not something that's glamorized the way it was maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago. But, I just need to be more mindful of it myself. And I know that.
Just like anything else, it's a muscle. Yeah. It can be developed. I've gotten much better at setting boundaries or saying the word no. Yeah. I'm definitely a recovering people pleaser.
Me too.
I never liked conflict back in the day, or I tried to make people happy as best as I could. And now I know with certainty that if you try to please everybody, you're diluting your own authenticity. Yeah. Right? And I'll even say this is pretty deep, but if you get to the end of your life and everybody liked you, I know you're coming right back. different conversation about what happens after.
Yeah, we got to talk about that.
But that's not why you're here.
Yeah.
Is for everybody to like you. You're here to express yourself, to utilize your authentic gifts that were given to you, and to shake things up. And if you're willing to do that, not everybody is going to love that.
Yeah.
Right? And so oftentimes, like, even me, we have a really, really big and growing community. And a lot of people, when they come to visit New York, you know, it's where I'm at, they always ask, like, hey, are you available? Blah, blah. Yeah. And I used to want to make time for everybody that's coming, to my community and so forth.
Yeah.
But now I've had to say sometimes, I'm sorry, I can't for this particular time. Next time you're back, let me know. I'd love to. I can't make it right now.
Right.
No excuses, no lies. I just can't bring myself to do it. I have a lot going on, and I really need to focus, or whatever that looks like. So you have to say the word no. You better like it, because otherwise, you know, it's only inevitable. If you want to get to your next level, you can't say yes to everything. And then also, you have to take time to decompress, to pause, to connect, whatever that looks like. And if you're constantly saying yes to everything, you won't have the time for that.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's so true, and I need to do a better job at that.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'll hold you accountable. I
appreciate that, because I really want to write this book that I've been talking about writing.
Okay,
and
so that's out there.
That's out there, and I'm actually making some progress, and we'll talk offline about it. But, you know, I'm sure part of that focus, you know, you wrote your book, and I remember when you were writing your book, and you were waking up at an obscene hour, which I can't do because I need a certain, you know, amount of sleep, and I have kids, and, you know, so on and so forth. So my morning and evening routine is different, but I need to block out, you know, the time to do that. Which won't be difficult to do. It's prioritization.
When are you most creative throughout the day?
It's a great question. You know, the challenge. It's challenging for me to answer that question because I'm doing creative things all day. So, based on the fact that I'm running companies, I need to get that off my plate so I feel like I could dig into something else. That's probably the better way for me to answer that. I'm emailing my team, you know, first thing in the morning to get the important things out of my brain that I know they'll get done, you know, today. And then I could, you know, basically dive into creative things or meetings or podcasts like this, you know. But I also need to be intentional about blocking out, you know, like Wednesdays I try to block out, you know, my podcasts, and but, you know, I'm also I made a living, you know, just being super nimble and scrappy and being everywhere and responding to everyone faster.
And that served you.
Of course.
This whole time.
Yeah, and responding faster and saying yes, and, you know, being available 24/7. Yeah, that's how I landed my business. Yeah.
Maybe, and everything that you've done is amazing, but maybe to get to your next level, which could be more wealth, fulfillment, peace, expansion, whatever that looks like, maybe it's time to change or just modify or alter the way you've done things.
That's exactly right. What got me here will not get me there. I know that.
Yeah.
I talk about it. I just don't do anything about it. That's not entirely true. I do things about it.
Let's be intentional, and I'm going to hold you accountable.
I appreciate it.
I'm going to start hitting you up once a week and asking you, tell me 2 things that you said no to this week.
Love that.
You have to answer.
Yeah, I will answer. You know that. All right. So you are on Wall Street.
Yeah.
COVID happens. Mm-hmm. You lean into everything you just described. You built a community. You started a podcast. By the way, I mean, like, I don't understand how you've built everything you built in the amount of time that you've built it. I always say that to you.
No ads, none of that stuff. All organic.
Yeah.
Till now.
Yeah, that's, you know, so many people want to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Or, you know, set out to do what you're doing and don't have a fraction of the success. And I, you know, it's really more so about just looking at your podcast guests, you know, the type of people that you're accessing and, you know, have the ability to learn from and spend time with is so impressive.
Thank you
know?
man.
Yeah, no, it is. Is there any advice that you would give to people that are looking to build something, or, you know, and I know what it is, but I have to act a little naive.
I'm so happy you asked. How deep can we go today?
As deep as the abyss.
Okay. So, first of all, thank you for saying all that. I do not take any of that for granted. Sometimes it's hard. What's the expression? It's hard to see the label from inside the jar. Something along those lines. So, it feels nice to hear you say that. I know that we're going at a high speed, but sometimes, like, you know, you have high standards, expectations. You don't realize to what extent. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that want to do something differently or more meaningful with their life or have some more success, whatever success means to them. And maybe they're not getting there. And so I believe it's twofold. One is they're probably more interested than they are committed, right? So as you know, I have a weekly show with mutual friend Meltzer. Every single Saturday, no weeks off. We've done 184, traveling all over the world. I did it on my wedding morning. So
that sums it up right there.
I'm not saying, like, what I'm saying to you is that I'm committed. Yeah. I'm disciplined. I'm consistent. I'm all in. Yeah. Right? And so whatever that looks like. Obviously, I'm not going to compromise something that might be more important. But my wedding was 5 hours later. I can wake up and do it. It's not a problem in my eyes. So I'm extremely disciplined, I'm focused, and I'm consistent. And I think some of the most untapped superpowers that are accessible to everybody is consistency, is a commitment, is discipline. If you just are focused and you continue to show up, great things are going to happen. And not just because physically you're moving the chains, to use a football analogy, it's because you're actually awakening the desire and you're showcasing to creator, whatever, that you mean business. And you're more likely to get surprise support or blessings or miracles that weren't necessarily on the whiteboard. And so that's like more of the 1% world physical component as to how to get ahead, is to be really freaking consistent and committed. The other is much deeper. I think that people have conflicting or clashing desires. They say they want to do this, but like maybe 20% of them want to do something different or isn't all in, right? So I have no confusion in regards to what I'm building, what I'm doing, right? So when I first decided to do this, I still have my Wall Street job for about a month or two. I'll never forget. I went back to the office for one day when COVID rules became a little bit less like strict, and they let you start going in like once or twice a week with a mask. I went in one day and I was like, I'm never coming back. I need to be all in here. And so I left, it was done, I did whatever I had to do. And then from there was no, this could work, but I also have this just in case. No. That was gone. We're making this work. The world needs this. This is what I'm called to do. We're going to figure it out. And so I think that there's other people that are like, oh, I see what Craig's doing. Or I see what Jay's doing. I want to be an influencer. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want all that, but I don't really want to, post every day on social media, or I don't really want to, I want to start a podcast, but after episode 7 and I have to find new guests, maybe I'll pretend that's the end of season 1. Yeah, right. And season 2 never begins. Right. So people want to do these things. They actually say they do, and I believe that they believe it, but there's something over here that's not matching that. Yeah. Right? So like me and you, we don't have that. Maybe in other areas, like if there's something that you want to do and it's not manifesting the way you typically do, there's a delay, you could probably figure out why. Imagine someone that really wants to be in a relationship, right? I want my soulmate, this, that, and the other thing. But maybe 20% of them still wants to be single. They don't want to give up the freedom, the nice apartment, whatever. Yeah. That's conflicting. And if you're confused about your desires, so is the universe. Yeah. So you have to be crystal clear. As clear as day, clarity, focused, understand the mission. And then we can awaken that desire, build a vessel, as I like to say, expand the capacity to receive, and then all the miracles will happen. That's the stuff that you can't see. So anyone that's listening right now is like, wow, this kid just lost me. What is he talking about? Basically what I'm saying in regards to what is spirituality, to me, if we're just keeping it simple, it means that you believe that there's something else going on here beyond our logic.
Yeah.
If we can subscribe to that, then I think we're all good. We're on the same page. And so when you start to do the right things, you match your desires with your intentions, you expand your vessel, you connect, you make space, it'll take care of itself. Like doors will open, opportunities will open, people will say yes, you'll go to an event, you'll meet this person, great things will happen. But you have to be crystal clear on what the vision is.
It's funny because I think the types of people that you would resonate with completely, heard that loud and clear, and I think it's important to understand that, there's the discipline, right? There's the consistency. And of course, the harder I work, the luckier I get, the things of that nature. But what's interesting is that alignment, where you are 100% certain of what it is that you want. And then you're reverse engineering the, kind of the steps to get there. But I think when you sprinkle in that, spirituality and understanding that, the universe has your back, so to speak, right? Like that's tough to calculate. It's also tough to remain hopeful, when you start off on this journey early, even if you are committed, right? Because it's almost like marketing, it's like, well, but what's the ROI of, posting on social media, whatever it is, right? It's like, these are not things you're going to see immediate results necessarily from, right?
Yeah.
It's
quantitative value. Yeah.
Yeah.
The spirituality stuff is the juiciest stuff. And so, look, when you start to play much bigger, for anyone listening, you start to call in bigger blessings, bigger things that you'd like to manifest in your life, right away, you're going to be met with your biggest insecurities, fear, and doubt. And that's where most people are like, you know what, maybe I'll stop playing small. I'll go back to being comfortable.
Yeah.
But if you start calling in all this big stuff and then you're faced with insecurities, the fear, the doubt, and you don't react, right? Don't react to it. All of a sudden the seas begin to part, things calm down a little bit. Then you can tap into certainty consciousness, which in my opinion is much deeper than confidence or belief system. Certainty. Certainty is like having a knowing, a faith that something bigger is happening here. If you feel really connected and called to do something, tap into certainty. And for anyone that's listening right now, it's like, ooh, that sounds really powerful, but how the hell do I build certainty? Fake it. Just start being certain.
Yeah.
Like think certain, think a knowing with different things and remove the doubt from the equation and watch what begins to materialize.
Yeah.
Don't take our word for it. I encourage everybody to test it out. But there is nothing more powerful than building a connection with whatever's good for you. I don't want to put anything on anyone else. But the more you do, look, the disorder and chaos in your life will decrease in direct proportion to your connection to whatever it is that you believe in.
Profound.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, there's like, I lost both my parents and I grew up pretty religious. My mom had a lot of faith and kept the family together. And when she passed, it was tough to have faith, in something that would allow that to happen, and I became more of a spiritual person, not necessarily a religious person. And, I watch you with your faith and I think it's admirable, to really want to dedicate yourself to learning, about things. And I believe that, anybody can obviously believe in whatever it is, they want to believe in. But I do believe everybody is here with a gift, whether they recognize that and actually, go all into that gift or, choose to be comfortable. Right. And it's interesting because so many people, I think, waste their gift.
I think it's one of the reasons why we're here.
Yeah.
Actually, is to identify what the gifts that were given to us are.
Yeah.
It's not ours. We're the managers of them.
Right. We're just a vessel, right?
That's right. And so a good maybe exercise or a way to challenge people to start to uncover that is, what is the discomfort that you're avoiding right now that's in between your next level?
Right.
Because that's where we grow, right? When we have the audacity to be bold and step out of our comfort zone and play big. And so oftentimes when we push ourselves, when you get to the edge of the capacity of your perceived limitations, that's when you begin to feel uncomfortable because you haven't been here before, right? If we're just doing something that we've done 100 times, you're not going to be very uncomfortable. So as you begin to push yourself, you start to feel uncomfortable. And that's where the expansion happens. And so that's typically where you'll find your gifts.
Do you ever feel like an imposter? Like, do you ever have imposter syndrome? What's your take on imposter syndrome is a better way to phrase it.
I often feel insecure, fear, and doubts because I'm relentless about pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. Whether it's speaking, coaching, book, marathons, anything, I'm always pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
Tough conversations.
Yeah.
I used to avoid those at all costs.
Yeah.
Now I look forward to them because I know every tough conversation leads to some sort of growth within that relationship.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing, actually. And so, yes, brother, I often feel imposter. I call it insecurities, fear, and doubt. Because when you call in big things into your life, you're trying to manifest, go to your next level, that's what you're hit with.
Yeah.
And so I understand that that's a prerequisite to get to your next level. So oftentimes I talk about like chasing the butterflies.
Yeah.
So if you're about to do something really, really big or important, like what you did the weekend of my wedding, like that's really impressive. I imagine going through that, you felt butterflies. And sometimes people don't know the difference of like, is this stress and anxiety or is this like excitement? And it's a very thin line.
Yeah.
Right. So even before I speak, I've done it hundreds of times now, I still feel the butterflies.
Yeah.
At the New York City Marathon coming up in 4.5 weeks, I'm still a little nervous about that. It's not because I don't think I could do it. I just respect the task at hand. I know it's a big deal and I want to do a really good job.
Yeah.
So I chase those butterflies because that feeling is an indication to me that I'm expanding my vessel, my capacity to receive, and I'm going to the next level.
And you're alive.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Like that, you could recognize those butterflies as fear, or you could recognize that butterfly as, you know, a feeling of being alive. Yeah. Like, first off, I'm very curious to hear what it means when you said, I know that you're definitely coming back. Yeah. We could save that for another time, unless you want to go into that. I'm curious exactly what that means. Because I was going to say, you know, you only get one go at this. That was going to be my thing. And in your head, you would have had a way deeper thought on that.
So real quickly, we'll save it for a sequel.
Fair.
As you know, I've gotten really, really into Kabbalah.
Yeah.
It's not a religion. You don't have to be Jewish. Yeah. It's a spirituality. In fact, whatever your philosophy or religion might be, it actually helps you connect deeper to that.
Yeah.
And so it's the most spiritual ancient wisdom that there is, like thousands.
I have a lot of friends that are really into it. Yeah.
It's before religions.
Yeah.
It's like source, in my opinion. And so it's basically the blueprint for the human soul. And one of the things that we're taught is that the human soul will continue to come back until it corrects what we call a tikkun, or our negative tendencies or things that need to be corrected and transformed.
Got it.
Right? So let's say you have a fear of abandonment or a fear of looking silly or a fear of whatever you have, most likely from a previous lifetime.
Yeah.
And until we begin to transform those, eventually we're going to have to face them again.
It's like a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah. Correct. So that's why I said earlier, like if everybody liked you when you get to the end,
you're coming back.
You didn't do something right.
Right. You played it safe.
Played it safe. Right? And so you don't have to believe that or subscribe to that. But I do think it's universal that we all have negative tendencies. None of us are righteous. All of us have a past, and we're all looking to get to our next level. And one of the ways to do that is to continuously correct and transform the negative tendencies within ourselves. I know this might sound like corny, but it's a really, really like shitty place right now in the world. In some situations, wars, this, that, the elections, it's crazy. if everybody just focused on correcting their own negative tendencies as a collective consciousness, would be great.
Oh, of course.
But everyone's pointing
that's
fingers,
humanity,
judgment,
right?
fingers, this,
Right.
that, the other thing, blaming this.
Well, it's also way easier to, for the most part, like chase dopamine.
Right.
Like it in kind of the simplest way to describe it is, you're not really working on yourself to really live better, right? Which is the purpose of this podcast. It's, and I think that's, and I always ask you the same question when I have a deep conversation with you. It's like, how do I adapt, long-term relationships with people that, quite frankly, I have very little interest in the things that they're interested in doing, and whether it's going out and getting drunk or, just doing things that really don't appeal to this version of myself, or don't appeal to me any longer. It's like, how do you navigate those things when you're growing and maybe, the things that you used to enjoy, you no longer enjoy?
That's when you become more spiritual, or the path that you're on, when you're really ascending and evolving, sometimes one of the downsides is you start to see things that you don't want to see.
Yeah.
And what sometimes you see is that maybe other people in your particular movie, aren't evolving the way that you are. Doesn't make them a bad person.
No, definitely
You're
not.
going in a different direction, and the hope is that, so picture like a pyramid. Let's just say this is source, spirituality is something bigger. Everybody hopefully at their own rate, their pace is going like this. But if you're going like this, evolving, doing your thing, correcting your negative tendencies, growing, expanding your vessel, and someone's not at all, it's hard to connect with them.
Yeah.
I think that happens a lot in relationships and like intimate relationships. So the hope is that people are on their path in a similar direction, but if they're not, you just don't have anything to connect with them about. So if you're going to spend time with them, just have to understand your expectations. Like, maybe you're going to, shoot the shit with the boys, and for that particular crew, you're not expecting to talk about spirituality, growth, this, that, the other thing, and that's okay for a couple hours. Or maybe you're like, you know what? At this season of life, I really don't have any interest in that, and I just want to be around people that are kind of what I'm doing. That's okay too.
What do you like to do in your free time?
Run marathons, work out, hang out with my wife. I like using that word, wife.
Yeah.
It feels nice.
Looks good on you.
Thank you, brother. I love to study this wisdom, to connect, spirituality. I'm a homebody at heart, which surprises people. I'm also an introvert, which I think really surprises people. So I love my family. I love to hang out with my puppy, my girl, my parents, work out, run marathons, and really just study this wisdom, Kabbalah, sharpen, work on mindset, and grow my business.
Yeah.
And hang out with people like you that I genuinely love. I connect with the best harm. When I get together with you, we'll have belly laughs. We'll also go really, really deep. It's all over the map. There's so much substance, the best. So that's really me.
What are you excited for?
Where do I begin? So this week, tonight actually starts Rosh Hashanah.
Yes.
Which is, you don't have to be Jewish to connect to that. Yeah. Basically, the new year. In Kabbalah, it's basically the birth of humanity. It's a very, very powerful energy to kind of renew and start fresh with a clean slate. I'm excited about that. I'm going to a big event tonight. I love growing the business, the podcast, coaching. The community is growing rapidly. Just got married, so what I'm really excited for, brother, is God willing, in the not too distant future, becoming a dad of a human, because we have a puppy. Yes. I'm rushing to do it tonight, per se, although we might be practicing. But just life, man, evolution, going to our next level, evolving, learning more about the wisdom, sharing everything that I know with the world, and everything in between. And we got the marathon in 5 weeks, which I'm super pumped about. It's good to have a big event after another one, like the wedding, because it could be like, oh, now what? So I have that, and just want to learn as much as I can and share and grow that. What are you most excited about?
I'm most excited about, I'm hosting an event in Miami, October 25th and 26th. I'm really excited about that. Actually, Jen Gottlieb, who I met through you, is speaking at the event. So I'm really excited to, that's different for me. This isn't really, this is a different level of me being involved in an event, co-hosting an event.
You feel some butterflies?
No, I actually don't. Not with this. Because I get butterflies when I'm speaking on things that aren't completely authentic, so to speak. You know, like what with this kind of growth thing that's more life, right? It's not one thing. It's not very specific. I just love sharing with people like what's worked for me and hoping that somebody can take a nugget, to use your word, and implement it into their life, you know, and as a result, you know, do better things, which has a profound ripple effect, you know. So I'm more excited about the opportunity to connect with people.
But that's what I mean when I say butterflies. Like you're excited, you want to do a good job. It's something a little bit different.
Yeah.
You really want to deliver.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, but it's not like something where I'm like, you know, in the back of my head, like, oh man, this is coming up. And I have a lot of those events where I'm like, oh God. Yeah. And you are like way beyond me as far as putting yourself in situations where you're speaking to.
How about that event we just did together?
That was amazing.
Amazing.
That was so special. And we're going to do another one.
Yes, we are.
I'm excited about that. Yeah, man, just really continuing to, you know, evolve as a person, you know,
as a soul.
Yeah, it's interesting because really, I mean, what I set out to do is make my kids as proud as they possibly can be of me, right? So like when I do big things for me, like remove alcohol, you know, which was probably one of the biggest changes in my life.
Would you ever go back?
No. I had a problem with it. It's not something that was completely ruining my life, but it's something that was holding me back. And life has gotten so much better because I don't have any. I'm not ever off or quote unquote hungover. So no, it's beautiful, you know. And I just like meeting like-minded people that, you know, I can learn from, you know. So it's really not as much as I want to have an impact. Yeah. It's more like I love every day, like kind of knowing that I'm going to meet some people or be with people that I know and love like you know, and just kind of learn and continue to evolve and apply those things. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, that's what I'm really excited about.
I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
So the event that you just did.
Yes.
My wedding weekend. What was the biggest takeaway or the biggest piece of transformation that came from it?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't necessarily train the way that you're training for your marathon. You know, I kind of looked at it as I'm mentally tough. This is climbing a mountain, literally. And I don't know exactly what to expect. Obviously, I've never done it before. And I kept like hearing how challenging it is from people and whatnot. And I like blocked that out instead of like actually like learning as much as possible and like preparing for it, which is crazy. But I just knew that like they'd have to literally take me off the mountain in a stretcher for me not to finish. Yeah. Which is, you know, for me, like mental toughness is something that I pride myself on. And, you know, it's just actually part of who I am. So I was very much looking forward to being on the mountain alone in the middle of the night, you know, in situations that would probably, you know, be really unenjoyable for most people, but that's kind of where I thrive. So like 2 a.m., pouring rain, not another human in sight, with a headlamp on a, you know, 25% incline on a mountain that if I slipped backwards, you know, wouldn't be a good thing because there's no humans around. You know, like that wouldn't
be a good thing.
That was interesting.
Was it tougher or less tough than you thought?
Way tougher. Because I didn't, you know, again, like I didn't really prepare and I didn't think enough about it because I didn't prepare, which is not necessarily what I would suggest people do. Right. You know, I would definitely, I'm going to do it again and I'm going to prepare for it. There was a certain point where like I could not lift my foot another step, you know, like when I went from 6 a.m. to 2:30 in the morning without stop, you know, with little stops in between. when I went to sleep at 2:30 in the morning, I slept for like 4.5 hours to start again to make sure that I finished in time. And when I woke up, Craig, like I couldn't move my entire body. Like I was stiff like cardboard, you know, and I like had to, I mean, I could barely walk, you know, and I knew I had to do 4 more ascents in that condition. It was not fun.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was.
Talk about being uncomfortable.
Yeah, but you run marathons. The difference between a marathon from the people that I did it that run multiple marathons is you're killing yourself for hours. This is like a day and a half, you know? Like, so it's like that just mental thing where you're like, can I actually do this? And I'm sure you have that in a marathon too, especially your first one.
Yeah.
You know?
But even these, like the Satan, the voice in your head will definitely play mind games. But I can only imagine the growth, the transformation that's come from that experience for you that you probably haven't even discovered yet.
I think you're right. Like, I think for me, it was like, you know, so much of it was, I mean, there was tremendous experience within that event and people, dude, connections, right? Because you're not running, you're walking, hiking, walking, you know, next to somebody for each ascent was an hour and 15 and an hour and 20 minutes to get up, hour and a half, you know, towards the end. And you're like on this journey with the people around you, you know, for that amount of time. Sure. And so you're meeting really awesome people and talking about like really interesting things. And that's what kind of makes the time pass. Get your mind off of like that. I could tell you what everybody was wearing on their feet because all I did was look down at their feet. It was insane. It was crazy. Yeah, a lot of growth.
Proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was something that I had to do.
I understand.
You know,
cold.
Yeah. And I had committed to it not knowing that it was your wedding week. And I still feel absolutely terrible. And it was just something that I needed to do. I know you do. Yeah. I know you do. If I was like, dude, I'm going, you know, if I'm doing this thing.
If I'm being honest, I didn't go to my cousin's wedding 2 years ago because I had the Chicago Marathon the same day.
Really?
And for me at that time, the Chicago Marathon was more important to, it was prioritized, I should say, than that cousin's wedding.
Yeah. And I think that's actually it just says so much about the type of person you are, right? The type of person I am. It's like, I have to do this. I said I was going to do this. This is difficult. Yeah. I'm not so sure I can do it, but I know I'm going to. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where it's like failure's not an option, you know? And if I didn't actually finish and like qualify within the time frame, but I like left it all out there, you know, like, I mean,
when it was coming up, you had those fear, doubt, insecurities.
I didn't. Like, I never thought that failure was an option, you know? So no, I didn't. I showed up.
But so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because you knew it was going to be.
I knew I was going to do it.
But you also knew it was going to be no joke. But yet you maintained certainty that it was getting done.
Yeah.
So that right there could be the biggest takeaway of this episode.
Yeah.
Is that's how you achieve certainty consciousness, which is how you can create and manifest with ease.
And you know, listen, I'm not an athlete. Like, I'm not, you know, I think that what you're doing.
Yeah, your mental fitness.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, and you know, listen, I'm in good shape at this stage of my life, like for sure. But, you know, I hang out with people, you know, like professional athletes that are just in a completely different, you know, world. Yeah. And when you see how they're, you know, how unbelievable they are, it's, I don't call myself an athlete, right? So, but having said that, it's like, I think that our mind is what puts the barriers around us in so many ways. Now, you know, I also have a bad knee injury. You know, I was in bed for a year in high school. So that was something in my head too, was making sure that I had a knee brace if I needed it. I didn't know how my bad knee would hold up type thing. And I got through that. Like towards the end, it was definitely a factor, but it held up pretty damn good. I've never put it through that type of, that's why I haven't run a marathon. Like that would, I think, be way more intense on my bad knee than this, because this is lower impact. It's more like stair climbing than it is, you know, actually running.
That's so powerful. Thank you for sharing that. So with all that on the table, lack of preparation, you still maintain certainty that this is getting done.
Of course.
And so that right there is something that everybody can develop. And when you have that certainty, anything that's in your way, a target, is going to get hit.
Yeah. Well, that's the difference between people who, we can give anybody the blueprint, right? I can give anybody the strategy at, growing their business across the U.S., right? I can give anybody like those things. It's all about the execution. It does, and that's a big lesson for people in business. Like, I don't fear competition in business. Take everything that I'll give it all to you on a silver platter. Now go do it, right? And it's to your point, like there's a very small fraction of people that will commit to the consistency and the dedication. And for me, the most successful people in all areas of life are the ones that are just certain and prioritize, right? It's not, and you're going to sacrifice other things. And that's okay because you have different phases and stages of the growth and the development process, and you have to be in that certain headspace, with your head down, focused, grinding really hard at the beginning of building anything. Yeah.
That's irreplaceable. And you mentioned sacrifice. I would just land there with, if you want to make a nice shift in your life as we go towards the last quarter of the year when this is going to drop, or 2025, this is a great time. Energy-wise, you can connect to it. It doesn't have to be something crazy, but just one shift that you're committed to.
Yeah.
If you can just make that shift and stay committed to that, you could start to build out from there, and you won't even recognize yourself in 3 months. But can you make the shift and then stay committed?
Right. When I make shifts, I commit to them. Do you have any suggestions on shifts?
Think about something that you want to call into your life. Right? What is something you'd like to do differently? Or something that you'd like to manifest or create or bring in? So what shift would that be? Let's say you wanted to start becoming much more spiritual. You wanted to start studying this wisdom, or you wanted to train for a marathon, or you wanted to build your own business, or you want to put yourself out there for a relationship. Whatever shift that you want. Yeah. Don't have those clashing desires. If that's what you want, make sure that's what you want.
Right.
Because the universe is going to collaborate with you. And if you're confused, the universe is confused. So get clear on that, and then stay committed to what it's going to take to achieve that. It sounds so simple, but...
Is that manifestation on some level?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I always have to, when I hear manifestation, I'm like, yeah, but you have to put the work in, But I think that's what you're describing. It's the alignment.
It's this. Like The Secret, right? A lot of people say, oh, well, they don't really talk about like getting off your butt and doing stuff. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. So you absolutely have to marry the masculine energy, the grind. You can't just sit on the couch all day, wake up at 10, take a couple meetings, have a cappuccino. Like, you have to make stuff happen. Yeah. But also be connected, have no confusion about what you desire. Right. And call it in, and then face the insecurities, the discomfort, and don't react to it. Yeah. Be proactive.
Love it. Where can everybody find you, Mr. Siegel?
Wherever. On social media, at Craig Siegel _CLS. Anywhere you buy books, The Reinvention Formula.
Yes.
Anywhere you listen to podcasts, The CLS Experience. If you like free, tangible, juicy nuggets throughout the week, text me at 917-634-3796. Text the word J so that I know you heard it here. Yeah. And come connect. I'd love to meet great people that are obviously attracted to you.
And I highly suggest that you do. You're a great person. I'm happy to call you a friend.
Love you, brother.
And I'm sorry I missed your wedding.
We'll have much more time to celebrate.
We will. And I will make it up to you.
I know you will. Love you.
Love you too.
I just want to have peace. Pay for the bill, let them take my card, never see the receipt. Good health, we proud, but everybody around prosperity.